Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Just firstly want to mention Bhai Nirmal Singh. He got a bit emotional, and I think it's a big testament to Bhai Nirmal Singh that even after his death he can evoke so much emotion. I remember going to his talks in the evenings, and they were really magical. So I can really feel T's emotion and a lot of the Sevadars here. Secondly, it's an honour to be asked to speak here, to share some time with you guys. And I was told that the theme for this camp was egg, which is one. You've probably had some talks on becoming one with Guru Maharaj. You've had talks on becoming one with the world around you, becoming one with yourself. And that oneness also brings together a community spirit. And that community spirit is called the Khalsa Panth. Now, you guys have probably had a really magical experience, especially those who've come here for the first time. From doing ritualistic matha takes in the Gurdwara, you've seen how the King of Kings, Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj, should be respected. You've fallen in love with a lot of your brothers and sisters, and Sikhi seems like a magical thing right now, and you're thinking, how was I living my life without all these people? How was I just doing matha take to Maharaj without knowing that I was bowing to the King of Kings of this world? But I often fear, and which is why we have to start RajoanaTV, is that we often have this very cozy, fairy, happy, healthy, holy vision of the world and the religion that we belong to. But this path that you guys have stepped into, and especially the first timers who think Sikhi is for me, the purpose of this talk isn't to get you down. It's just to let you know that the path that you want to belong to faces some serious, serious challenges. And they're so dire and deep that it will take me 2-3 weeks to talk non-stop just to go through them. So I'm going to do my best to try and talk about some of the problems that we face. And one of the things the Sevadars asked me to do, the hukum that they gave me, was that we want you to talk about unity. The problem that we have, especially for this month, is that it's very unique. How many times this week have you said, Sarbat Tapara? How many Sikhs across the globe, there's 30 million Sikhs in this world, they say Sarbat Tapara at least 3 times a day. How many Sarbat Tapara is that? Which other Qawm out there asks for the betterment and the well-being of other people and not themselves? There's not many. We belong to a unique bond. And like I said, we face some major challenges. One of the challenges that we face and the disunity that we have as a Panth is our current problems. Now, a lot of you will know, and I would implore you to watch RajoanaTV, youtube.com/RajoanaTV. What we've done is we've tried to document a lot of the stuff that's gone on, from Operation Blue Star to the life of Sant Pindrale, to tyrants like Bhai Ranjit Singh mentioned, like Sumedh Saini, people who don't know who he is, but he's actually the Director General of Punjab Police. He's killed thousands of Sikhs. So we try and piece this stuff together. And a lot of you will watch this, and you'd see these banners of people like Bhai Sukham, Bhai Jinnah. A lot of you may have a little inclination, especially after Bhai Ravi Singh's talk, when you saw the videos about the Shaheed families in Punjab and what kind of life they're living. You'll have an indication that some serious oppression took place in the 80s. I haven't got the time to go through why and how, but some serious oppression took place in the 1980s. Harmandir Sahib was reduced to rubble. Acts like the National Security Act, Terrorist Anti-Disruptive Activities Act, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, these are all fancy names for one thing: the killing of people like you. Close to 125,000 Sikhs were wiped out from 84 to 95. Documented by people like Bhai Jaswant Singh Khalra Shaheed, a personal hero of mine. What the Indian government realised is that we can't just keep killing Sikhs. First of all, bullets are expensive. Sikh lives are worthless. And secondly, we need to be seen as a major democracy. India, the world's largest democracy. So the guns fall silent, but the massacre continues. How does the massacre continue? How do they continue this Sikh genocide to this very day? without anybody knowing. Let's look at farmer suicide. From 1988 to the present day, the Farmers Commission say that 40,000 Sikh farmers have committed suicide. 40,000 Sikh farmers have committed suicide. Now you could argue that they wrap the noose around their necks, it's not our problem. The big bad government didn't come and tie the rope around their necks. But what kind of life has a Punjabi Sikh farmer got when he can't put a price on his own grain? When the person who's feeding India is going to sleep hungry? 40,000. Imagine one farmer dying in this country, there'd be an open investigation. Why did this farmer commit suicide? What's wrong with his crops? What's wrong with his price? What's wrong with his yield? 40,000 farmers can die to this present day and not a single investigation, and we don't even know about it. That's a massacre. Is it deliberate? But neglect can be just as bad. That's 40,000 farmers. There is mass stats on farmer suicide, and I implore you guys to do your research. Just a Google search would tell you what's going on in Punjab. A second wave of genocide, female feticide. Punjab has got the most amount of illegal abortion clinics and the most amount of illegal ultrasound clinics than the rest of India. The BBC reported that for every 1,000 girls that are born in Punjab, for every 1,000 boys that are born in Punjab, only 700 girls are being born. Girls like you guys who are sitting aren't even being allowed to be born. Another massacre that we don't even know about. Another aspect of this silent genocide that's going on, that's affecting our Panth, that's affecting your Panth, is the drugs epidemic. Why should we be killing Punjabis and Sikhs? Why should we be using bullets, the Indian government is thinking? Let's just flood them with drugs. The cream of Punjab, the cream of the Sikhs in Punjab was taken away from us in the 80s. People like these two here, the cream of Punjab just wiped away. And anything that's left, let's get them on drugs. Because once we get them on drugs, they're not going to think about why has my father committed suicide as a farmer. They're not going to think about why I can't get jobs. They're not going to think about Article 25 of the Indian Constitution, which doesn't even regard me as a Sikh. They're not going to think about Narendra Modi, who last week said, I want the Sikhs in Gujarat to get out of Gujarat and go back to Punjab, and he will then become the Prime Minister of India next year. They're not going to think about things like that. What they're going to think about is, where am I going to get the next fix from? 3,000 packets of heroin enter Punjab's border every day. New York Times say 1 in 3 Punjabis is a drug addict. And that doesn't discriminate men, women, children, elderly. So anybody who had any ankh, anybody who had any feeling for their Panth was wiped out in the 80s, and anything that's left, let's get them hooked on drugs. Alcohol, another part of this genocide. Punjab is the highest alcohol consuming state in India, if not the world per capita. There's more government-owned theke, which are liquor stores, than there are government-owned schools. What does that tell you about your beloved Punjab? What does that tell you about your beloved Panth? There is no outside investment in Punjab. And if you want any proof in how bad Punjab is and how unbelievably intolerable it has become for Sikhs in Punjab, look at Slough. There's people who are running from Punjab and sleeping under bridges. They'd rather do that than stay in Punjab because they can't get any jobs. If you're not farming, you're not doing anything. Illegal pharmacies in Punjab. You don't need a license, you don't need a degree, you don't need any education. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can open a pharmacy. This is where poor Punjabis, like the rich Punjabis, they can have the cocaine and the heroin. But the poor Punjabis, the poor Sikhs, they're huddled in little corners, getting high on shoe polish, on horse tranquilizer. This is the state of your Punjab. This is the state of your Panth. When we talk about unity, in 20 years, an economic study says that if Punjab carries on the rate that it is, with all the neglect and the exploitation of all its natural resources, it will become desert land in 20 years. Not a child will grow, not a crop will grow there. Then boom, a geographical nucleus of Sikhi gone. And what do? Where does our disunity come from? Well, that's going on in Punjab while our empire back home is burning. We here are fighting over tables and chairs in Gurdwara. We are fighting over which Bani is Bani and which Bani isn't. We are killing each other over meat issues. A whole massacre is taking place, and our Panth is busy fighting itself over these issues. This is where our disunity comes from. And if this disunity doesn't maybe affect you because you think, well, this is Punjab, let's look at here, but let's have a little reality check back home. Now, Singh is going to do a rap when I finish, and he's going to talk about Mir Manu's jail. In Mir Manu's jail, many Sikh women had their children chopped up into little pieces and wrapped around their necks because they wouldn't convert to Islam. They had unity, not a single woman converted to Islam from Mir Manu's jail. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, which we all know, a great Sikh warrior, a great Sikh soul, done much to defend the honour of Sikh and Hindu women. What the Mughals used to do when they used to capture Sikh women, those who didn't convert, those who they used and abused for their own sadistic pleasure, when they were done with them and they didn't convert, to add insult to injury, to really defame them and to insult the Sikh psyche, they used to bury them in the ground, according to Islamic tradition. Just to say, we took your Sikh girls and now we're burying them in our ground. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, this is true Panthic swords. We're talking about unity, this is true Panthic swords. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur used to tell forces to go into Afghanistan, dig up these graves, bring these dead Sikh girls back to Punjab and cremate them, according to Sikh tradition. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur used to rescue dead Sikh girls. We can't even rescue those poor Sikh girls who are being groomed by Muslims today, alive. We don't even want to talk about it. We want to bury our head in the sand. The DNA of Mir Manu, of Wazir Khan, of Ahmed Shah Abdali, of Masarangar, they're still walking around today, these Islamic extremists, but we don't want to talk about it. They were on sandals and horseback 300-400 years ago. Now they wear Rockports and they're in Honda Civics. But their thought hasn't changed. It's to subdue Sikh girls, it's to subdue the Sikh community. And where does our unity lie? This is happening, it's an epidemic. How many Sikh girls are being groomed every single day? Just the case in Leicester. This girl was being used by thousands of men over the course of 2 years. A poor 14-year-old girl, just girls like you. She's got a mother and father. They were Amritari as well. Being used and abused year on end. People would pay money and have membership to her, so whenever they were in Leicester, they could use her. And she's testified to say, I'm not the only Sikh girl that's being used and abused. What do we fight over? Who's a Daksali? Who's a Nahang? Who's a Nanaksari? What Maryada do you follow? Do you have Sarlo Bati or not? Do you drink Coke? These are the issues we're fighting over. This is when I talk about disunity. We find it easy to fight each other. You know why? Because it's an easy fight. I'll go on Facebook and I'll say something about Aleksali. That Naham can go and say something about me. I'll be a cyber swordman. We're ignoring the real fight, the real challenge. And why are we so quick to fight each other? Because it's so easy. You don't get hurt, you don't get burnt, your families don't get involved, you don't put yourself out there. Yet we foolishly believe that we're part of some kind of movement. And all we're doing is tearing our own bond apart. Our heads are buried so far into the sand that we can't even breathe. And even when these issues are brought to the forefront, forget tackle them. We don't even want to talk about them. Don't say that. It's not the place for it. When is the place to talk about these issues? Because you guys have been blessed to even come to this camp, to meet these amazing Sevadars, to meet these amazing people. But you also need to know that, the Panth that you belong to, it has been persecuted ever since it was born. And why is the Khalsa Panth always persecuted? Whether it's the British, whether it's the Mughals, whether it's the Indian government today. Is that because our ideals are unique. The 1% majority that control the world and control nations, they can't have a Khalsa Panth because we will give to the poor. We will give them power. We will give power to the downtrodden. We will share the wealth. We can read Gurbani, we can have a connection straight away with God. We don't need these pundits and these lairds and whoever these people are. The Khalsa Panth has consistently been a thorn in anybody who wants to take the rights of people away. And that is, you could say that about any nation in this world. Which is why your Khalsa Panth is constantly in persecution. Another way that disunity has been created is by that over there, the word Khalistan. Khalistan has become a dirty, murky word to dub you guys who think about freedom, who think about Punjab, who think about human rights as separatists and terrorists. Khalistan has become a cozy, rosy word to demonize one community and ultimately legitimize their death. We then say to each other, you're Khalistan, you're not. If you're not, then I can't even talk to you. This mental conditioning has come seeped into our mindset that if you want some type of independence that Bahadur Ji was talking about, then you've got your own version of Sikhi. Whereas freedom, as you've seen on many t-shirts, on many posters, freedom is our birthright. The birth of Guru Tegh Ji signalled the end of oppression, signalled the struggle for independence, not just of a piece of land, but of a mindset. So there's another way to create disunity amongst us. And I think one of the major things that's happened in recent years, and we've all been sort of lured into this, is the two labels of Sikhs. One, the acceptable moderate Sikh, and two, the hardline Sikh extremist. This notion has been propagated from 1947. Who is the moderate, acceptable Sikh? Somebody who cuts their hair, somebody goes for a drink, somebody who goes to the mandir as well as the Gurdwara. People like Bahadur, who have turbans and beards, people like KPS Gill, people like Kuldeep Brar that Bahadur Ji mentioned, who have Singh in their name, but their actions are completely different. Those are the acceptable Sikhs. Because they would rather have the adulation of 1 billion people in India rather than 20 million Sikhs. And then you have the unacceptable Sikh extremist, who has a commitment to his Panch Prakar, who has a commitment to Guru Nanak Dev Ji's philosophy of Sarpatapala, who has a commitment to Guru Gobind Singh Ji's philosophy of fighting against tyranny. Someone who wakes up and breathes Gurbani. Somebody who has unfalterable faith in Sikhi. That is the unacceptable Sikh. And we fall and prey to this. Oh, he's a bit extreme. Oh, he's just a moderate. And the Indian government, who are now our oppressors, don't want you to know this. Whatever I'm talking about, they don't want you to know this. Because what they'll tell you is it's fine to talk about Baba Deep Singh and Bhagat Singh, that's fine. Because you know what? Then your oppressors were the British. Then your oppressors were the Mughals. But now we're your oppressors. Don't talk about people like Jasbal Singh Shaheed, who still fell victim to an Indian bullet last year. Yet we are told by our own people, move on. Move on. We face grave challenges, serious challenges, and we need serious people to deal with them. And let's just hit it home for the recent time. Everybody's heard of Bhai Singh Rajoana, everybody's heard of Devinder Pal Singh Pullar and Bhai Jagtar Singh Awara. These three people, have we ever thought to ourselves, Bhai Singh Rajoana was a serving Indian police officer. Professor Devinder Pal Singh Pullar was a professor at Ludhiana University, one of the best they had. What made these two abandon their jobs and enter the Sikh movement in an armed struggle? What was so wrong in their lives that they had to give up all the pleasures that they had to get into this movement? More importantly, why hasn't India asked that very question? They call themselves a democracy, they call themselves a civilized government. But where have they asked the question that what was so wrong in your life that you were ready to strap bombs to yourself and kill the chief minister along with yourself? And I'll tell you why they haven't asked that question. Richard Reed, I don't know if many of you remember him, he was the shoe bomber from this country. He hid some explosives in his shoes and he was ready to kill British citizens along with himself. But his plan was foiled. He was an Islamic extremist. What this country done as a civilized democratic country, they psychologically profiled him for 1 year. And they kept asking him the question, what is so wrong in your life that you're prepared to blow yourself up? You're just a normal guy. Constantly getting into his psyche. What's wrong with this guy? Why hasn't this process taken place with Bhai Rajoana, or Devinder Pal Singh Pullar, or Hawara, or any of the other thousands of Sikh political prisoners that are languishing in jail? Because they know that if we delayer these guys, if we psychologically profile them, it will become evident that what the real problem is, the ideals of the Khalsa, is to fight oppression anyway. It's not Bhai Rajoana's personality that's the problem. It's not Devinder Pal Singh Pullar's brains that are the problem, or Hawara's activism. It's that they belong to this Khalsa Panth. And so, I don't want to depress anybody. I don't want people to think that what we've been given is information about how messed up things are. But I think it's everybody's duty to let you know that your house is completely on fire. And I'm not saying this, like I said, to depress you. Because from you guys, there will be another Udham Singh. There may be another Baba Deep Singh. There may be a Mata Palkor. But how will you know if you're oblivious to the problems around us? And just to round a lot of this off, you've heard probably this, even in the Ardas, how many people have given their lives for Sikhi. Every person who's become a Shaheed, we say their name, we eulogize them. We We say their name, we utilize these people. But we never actually we are never actually told what their lives were about. Now I'll talk about some of this mental conditioning. You've been told that you belong to a race of saint warriors and princesses, that you come from the bloodline of Guru Gobind Singh and you're brave, fearless people. Yet, every single one of our actions to this day suggests otherwise. We have been mentally conditioned into thinking all we can do as a Panth is to sign a petition or hold a placard and do a peaceful protest. There's something called the pineal gland. It sits in the middle of your brain. It's the size of a grain of rice. The pineal gland, in Western culture, they believe is your third eye. And there's many conspiracy theories about the pineal gland. Because many people believe, and these conspiracy theories believe, that there's fluoride in our toothpaste and our water, that when we drink it or use this toothpaste, it coats our pineal gland. This pineal gland is responsible for taking us to different spheres. This pineal gland takes us into different realms. This pineal gland turns us into superhumans. This is what Western philosophy believes. And they think it's been coated by the 1% that are controlling the world. Because if they can control our pineal glands, they can control our minds, they can control the world. They can control what we see, hear, and feel. Now, I don't know whether this conspiracy theory is true. But what I do know is that the same is happening to your Khalsa spirit. It's being beaten out of you. Hold a placard, go to Hyde Park every year. But don't awaken your soul. Before we become one with this bond, before we become one with this world, we need to awaken the saint warrior within. Because when we realize that we are the bloodline of the King of Kings, Guru Gobind Singh, we are the descendants of Baba Deep Singh, only then will we realize how truly powerful we can be. When this time, this mortal life, comes to an end, may it be in intense struggle. The immortal, eternal words of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.